You know what I was not expecting? I was not expecting Pixar's Elemental to not only be a better movie, but be a more enjoyable movie, at least for me, than Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken. Hi, everybody, I am Luke Filmboss, and I'm going to be reviewing Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken. Now, a lot of people did not seem like excited for this movie. And then it came out in the box office, and yeah, it's like one of the biggest flops of all time. Maybe not quite that bad because budget isn't astronomical like Lightyear's. Like Lightyear was huge flop. Strange World, even bigger flop. Ruby Gillman had like a budget less than half of what those films had. So Ruby Gillman, even though it flops so hard, is still in better standing than them almost. So it's still pretty bad. It's like lowest bottom of the barrel numbers. But the movie is actually good. It's good. I was hoping it would be so much better. DreamWorks has been on kind of a pretty good streak. Crude's A New Age was really good. Puss in Boots 2 was great. The Bad Guys was on the tip of greatness. It was really good. I didn't see The Boss Baby 2. I don't really care. It's The Boss Baby. Who cares? And now we got Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken, which is a good movie. And then we get Trolls later this year. Yay, Trolls. I still need to watch the second one. The first one was bad. But Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken is a movie. Visually, it is beautiful. I would say visually, it probably, for the most part, it tops Elemental, except for those few like key scenes that I talked about in the review that were just so magical. For the most part, as a whole, the visuals are great in Teenage Kraken. They definitely outshine Elemental. But then you get to the story and it's like, I liked the concept. I liked the world building and all that stuff more than I liked Elemental. But when it came down to the drama, well, and there is good character stuff going on in Teenage Kraken, it just doesn't hit the emotional button as well as Elemental does. And that was disappointing because I thought Teenage Kraken was going to be a very solid movie. I thought that they were going to play on the strengths that the plot and the script with the characters sets up, and they don't play on those strengths, and they just make it kind of a little bit basic and generic. Well, not being basic and generic. It's just, there was one big thing that I wanted them to do with the story, and they didn't do it. And it just made for a very less emotionally satisfying conclusion. So, there's a, like, Disney is typically the one that has more of the gay people and like the lesbian representation and stuff. There's like a full-on lesbian friend of Ruby in this movie, and she has a decent amount of screen time for like a friend character. She's not really in the movie a lot, but she's in it a good enough deal, and she mentions that she's going to the prom with a girl, and then she shows up to the prom and she's with the girl and they're like holding each other, and it's like, yeah, that's the stuff that I don't want to see in movies. But like, I'm glad that it was not Ruby. I'm glad she wasn't like falling in love with this mermaid girl. Like, thank goodness she's into dudes, even though she's a Kraken. And now you have the whole Kraken with a human dude thing, which I didn't mind. It's a fantasy, but like, that's a little bit weird, I guess. I don't know. This movie just kind of doesn't play to its strong suits as well as I would have liked. Now, as far as the family dynamic and like Ruby's motivations for like everything that happens, like, it's all very well structured and plotted so that she discovers she's the Kraken, and then she has good reasons for wanting to go explore and find out who she is. And so she goes to her grandma and trains to become, and like learns her powers as the Kraken, and she has like a strained relationship with her mom, which leads to some good emotional moments, but like they don't do anything super good, and it just ends up way too much of a happy ending at the end, where they just all of a sudden just the mom and the grandma and the mom and daughter Ruby just all become best friends. And it's like, yeah, family is good and all that stuff. They could have kept that. But the way that they played off the mermaid plotline, it's like they're just going way too hard to be subversive and anti-Disney like they were with Shrek. Like, this is not Shrek. You did not have to go the whole 180 from Disney. It's like, oh, mermaids are good in The Little Mermaid, which was Disney. We're going to make mermaids 100% evil. Very original, guys. How about you make it more gray rather than black and white, like good or evil? The mermaids could have been an amazing antagonist in this movie. Like, you have this mermaid who shows up to school, and if you don't want spoilers, I would suggest skipping to where I give the rating if you just want to see the rating, because there's going to be spoilers from this point on out. So you have been warned, spoilers. So you have this mermaid character, and she comes to school, and she kind of steals Ruby's thunder for saving a kid, and she takes the credit for that. And then stuff happens to Ruby. She becomes a Kraken, and she's trying to find out all this stuff. And so the mermaid's like, you're a Kraken, I'm a mermaid, we can be like underwater buddies. And then like Ruby's not supposed to like go next to mermaids because mermaids are evil or self-righteous narcissists, always thinking of themselves. But then Ruby befriends the mermaid, and it turns out that the mermaid is the daughter of the mermaid queen, which was like an enemy of Ruby's mom when Ruby's mom was back in fighting wars and stuff. Cool lore and stuff, you know? And so the two daughters are going to go find the trident and bring peace to the mermaids and the Krakens, which is a nice plot thing. Like, it's a little bit generic, you know? Like, oh, they're going to go make peace between the two different races. Like, yeah. And then the filmmakers knew that that was a generic plot thread, and so they did something stupid. So basically, Ruby is getting the trident for the mermaid, but we all know that the mermaid is actually trying to get the trident for some other reason, you know, to win the war or something. She's not actually trying to bring peace. But, I mean, there's times where you think, oh, the mermaid is actually nice. The mermaid actually cares about Ruby. And then, but she's still using Ruby to get to the trident. Then Ruby gets the trident for the mermaid. And whoa, ta-da! This mermaid actually, we just randomly, right before the scene happens, the grandma was like, wait a minute, the mermaid queen never had a daughter. Oh, that means that she's actually the mermaid that Ruby's been hanging out with. Oh, how original. Now she has the trident, and she's like, oh, I never really cared about you. I'm a selfish mermaid. I'm gonna, you know, just make everything miserable. I'm gonna take over the 7 seas now that I have the trident back. I'm gonna kill your mom, and I'm gonna kill you, Ruby. Yeah, I never cared about you, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it was all right. I liked the atmosphere. Like, they play Blackpink. I think it's Pink Venom, I think they play during that scene. And it's like the voice acting performance is really good, and it's like a decent, like, suspenseful moment where it's like Ruby realizes she's screwed up. But it's like, now we're just gonna go have a generic battle with a generic villain who's just power hungry. How many generic power hungry villains can we have? It's like, oh, I was power hungry before. Your mom took away the trident from me, so I had to like live as a regular mermaid who doesn't age, which is why she looked like a teenager. And now she has the trident back, and she's gonna get revenge and take over the 7 seas. Great writing, guys. You could have made like such an emotionally impactful story between a Kraken and a mermaid. This is how I would have written this. Like, for the most part, before that, it was all set up good. Like, you had scenes where the mermaid and Ruby were actually bonding as characters, like, in making a realistic, like, seeming friendship. And then you just realize, oh, the friendship was all fake. It was just... Then why waste our time with it, filmmakers? To subvert our expectations, you make us actually think that this mermaid is actually a nice character, and then all of a sudden it's like, nope, it was all just a mask, and she's just evil because she's a mermaid. And we can't have a good mermaid because this isn't Disney. And Disney did The Little Mermaid, and she's a nice mermaid. This is DreamWorks. We have to be the opposite of Disney. So the mermaid's completely evil. It's like, what? Why not make it the Mermaid Queen's daughter? Like, make Ruby and the mermaid actually be friends, but the mermaid's daughter still has to trick Ruby. Like, you could have had this thing in there where the mermaid's daughter has a bad relationship with her mother, just the way Ruby does with hers. And in order to like prove herself to her mom that she's like a worthy daughter and stuff, she tricks Ruby into getting her the trident. She hands the trident over to her mom, and that puts a strain between Ruby and her as friends. But then she ends up having like this deep, meaningful moment where she realizes she does care about Ruby. Like, she thinks that the Krakens and the mermaids can coexist, and even if they can't, she doesn't care because Ruby is her friend. And so she ends up going with Ruby and helping to fight her mom to save Ruby's mom and her grandma and all that. Like, that could have been emotionally satisfying. You could have a good moment where Ruby and the mermaid girl, I wish I could remember her name, like, they actually could have made it her daughter, the queen's daughter, and they could have had this emotional scene where Ruby's just like, I trusted you, like all that, like stuff that people think, oh, is so cliche, so generic. It's emotionally satisfying. It is a proven method. Sure, it's a little bit cliche, but it's no more cliche than, oh, I was pretending to be your friend, but I'm actually evil. How more cliche can you get than that? It's not even emotionally satisfying. So use what you had. A friendship between an adorable mermaid. Like, you have these two very adorable teenage characters creating a friendship, and you could have had an emotionally impactful moment, a whole emotionally impactful scene where the mermaid decides that she's not going to have to prove herself to her mom because she's found value somewhere else, because Ruby values her. And even though she backstabs Ruby, Ruby ends up forgiving her, and they remain friends. Like, it's just like with Dial of Destiny, only this movie was actually done pretty good, and then it just dropped the ball on a few major issues. But like, the groundwork was there. They had what they needed to make an amazing, or at least a very, very good movie. Same thing with Dial of Destiny, same thing with this movie, Teenage Kraken. It could have been great. This movie fares better because it's original, it's not tearing down anything. There is actual real character development here with Ruby, with her mom, and with her grandma, even though some of it's a little bit rushed. But overall, it's a good movie. It's just, some things just could have been so much better. I love the one-legged captain dude. He's hilarious. And I liked Ruby's uncle. I liked her dad. I liked her brother. Like, there's some pretty decent, like, male characters in this movie. They're not super undermined. Like, sure, the Kraken, the females, and the mermaid's a female, and they're the warriors, and they're the cool ones. But it's like, I very much enjoyed the male characters in this one too. And that old captain dude, he's just the best. So he's hilarious. So there's a lot of good laughs, a lot of good moments. It's a good teenager movie, I'd say, and even it's good for kids too. And then you just have the weird lesbian thing. So just like, that's in there. So I really don't want to say go take your kids to see this movie. But overall, I like the way that the movie ended with Ruby getting her prom date. I just ruined the whole movie for everybody. But I told you spoilers. So yeah, Ruby gets her prom date. They do a little Kraken dance thing. Everything's good with her mom, and her grandma. And she's gonna resume being the Kraken ocean protector, because she's Ruby Gillman, the teenage Kraken, and it's a solid movie. So that's the end of the spoilers, and that's the end of my review. I am Luke Filmboss, and I give Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken a 73% in quality, a 69% in enjoyment, for an overall score of 71%. Thank you all for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that notification bell to help you be on the lookout for more videos from Luke Filmboss. Bye.